Hello, everyone. Welcome to Collaboration Station Community Space. Welcome to X. We're going to scroll deep and we're going to reply wide today in episode 44. I'm your host, Kate Bly. I'm a X enthusiast as well as a Spaces host. I am a website designer and photographer working freelance. I have here my lovely co-hosts, Mr. Christopher Fryan and Mr. Rich Silver, who will be joining us today. We'll get to them in a second here. I just want to present everyone the gist of the space. You're always welcome to come up and share anything that you've got going on. If you've got a project that you've recently finished, if you have something that you're in the middle of that you're excited about, or you have something coming out soon and you want to just hype it up a little bit, or to introduce and share a little bit about yourself, you're all welcome to come up and do that and say hi. But also, we're going to just have a conversation about a topic of the day. And I think this relates a lot to people, possibly if they're new accounts, or maybe their account feels like it's dead, or you had to take a break and come back. We're kind of going to talk about effective strategies to get a little bit of a boost maybe to your accounts if you're feeling like you're treading water. No guarantees though. All right, so let me go ahead and introduce my wonderful co-hosts. Christopher has a poll ready for us. So why don't you just introduce yourself and then reveal the poll, and we'll head over to Rich after that.
Hello, my name is Christopher Fryan. I am a digital artist. I've been doing digital art for 26 years, and I'm also an AI filmmaker. And I have the poll here, and the question is, what toy would be the creepiest version of the robot apocalypse? And your options are Furbies, Teddy Ruxpins, Tickle Me Elmos, or other. And if you want to do other, just let us know in the replies. And yeah, excited to see what people say.
Ooh, yeah, that is a fun poll. So make sure you vote in that. And I did completely forget about the bingo game, but I think that's going to be exclusively on Sundays when we do the bingo. So that's a really fun game to encourage you to come on the Sunday evening space if you can. I know it's not a great time slot for most of the world, but that one I encourage you to join, because the bingo game, you get the pinned post on Monday in the community, which will bring you quite a bit of engagement. So it's worth checking out. Maybe we'll get it together and have bingo for the next Wednesday space. I don't know. It's a weird one, Wednesdays, to get everything together, because I do actually have work in the morning and everything like that. But anyway, all right. So let's go ahead to Rich. Rich is feeling a little bit under the weather, but I think he's rallying pretty well.
I am
able to join us today because Sunday we had Gunky fill in for you. But yeah, how you doing today? What are your thoughts on the topic? And I don't know, what else?
Well, first of all, I think bingo on Sundays sounds like a great idea. I think those two go well together. Secondly, yeah, I don't feel sick at all. It's just my voice. You can probably hear it. Like, I'm just having a hard time talking, and I don't know what's going on. Like, I've never had voice problems before, and I didn't go to a sporting game and like scream or anything. So, but I don't feel sick at all. So I have no idea. But yeah, I'm here. I'll chime in when I can, but I'll try not to talk too much because it's probably not very, very nice listening to.
So you never lost your voice before? That's what this is, by the way. This is losing your voice.
I guess. No, I have never lost my voice before. No.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I think there's something like going around that is just blowing out people's lungs, and like, because I've been hearing this a little bit. So yes, rest your voice. Hot drinks can help, ease it a little bit back to health. Yeah, I think that's just one of those weird things that just takes time to come back. I think. I don't know.
I hope.
So, yeah. Yeah. The only time it happens to me is when I'm like, when I would work at the ski resort and I'd have to be outside all day, and I just like to talk to people because I get bored out of my skull standing there. And then I'd go home and not be able to talk because the cold air with that would just like completely blow up my voice. So that's what happens to me sometimes. So I can relate. Yeah. All right. Anyway. Yeah. And Rich,
yeah. Enough about that.
Yeah. I don't know if I didn't give you a chance to actually like properly introduce yourself to some people who maybe are new and don't know you.
Well, my name is Rich Silver. I'm active on X almost every single day. I create a lot of like AI art, AI music videos. I have a little bit of a history as a physical artist, do painting of acrylic on canvas, mostly like abstract type stuff. I admin a very active precious metals community here on X, the Silver Stackers and Collectors. It is spotlighted on my profile, and I would love anybody, no matter what your experience level is, please come check it out. I guarantee you will find something that you like. And yeah, I'm excited for today's space. Are we scrolling deep? Are we replying wide? Yeah, let's get into this conversation.
Yeah, I did edit the title this morning. If anyone happened to see the title yesterday.
What was the title before?
You don't remember?
No, I
Anyway.
was just hoping I could get you to say it.
He just wants you to say it.
Yeah, I gotta, I'm kind of a prude, guys. I hate to break it to you. I can't, I get the joke, but, I don't want to attract a certain crowd, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, no, it's okay, we're going to talk a little bit about like if you abandon your account for a little while and need to come back and maybe get some visibility, or if you have a post you're really excited about and you want to get more eyeballs on it, then maybe the algorithm will just do organically. I think there's some strategies to that. And like for me around the holidays, I took quite kind of like a break from social media. And I know you, Rich, you did too, where it's just like you're not as active. Maybe you're on X, but you're not out there posting or replying all day, really interacting because life is getting in the way. So I know yeah, stupid life. Like what? So I know you've had to deal with this to kind of claw your engagement back a little bit. So I don't know I don't want to make you talk the whole time, but I know you probably have a couple of tips that could help.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough, like, because you take those few days off and then all of a sudden you come back and it's crickets. Because X is about that momentum. You get that momentum rolling. You go out there and you engage with people and they come back and engage with you, because even though you engage with somebody today, they might not engage with you for a couple more days. They might not see that notification. They may not be as an active of an X user as you are. So yeah, you get that momentum going because you go out there and you do that every day. So once you stop that, man, that momentum stops like almost instantly. So crawling yourself out of it, it's basically just you got to get back out there and start replying again. Go back out to the accounts that like to engage with you, the accounts that you resonate with, whether it's like just going through your For You or going through your following list and your followers list, or actual lists of accounts that you've created. That's what you have to do. And before you do that, post something good, post some sort of good content so that when they do come to your page, they have something to react to. They have something to share, something to engage with. But it's hard. It is hard crawling out of it. And that's just the best way to do it, is just grind. Perfect
word for to go with the title of the space. But yes, absolutely. I love that tip of having like a good post, maybe like pinning something that you really about you, or something from your archive that maybe is like a real winner post, pinning that and then posting something new and then getting out there and, mingling in the communities. Going into spaces is another one. Going in and speaking in spaces that are on topics that that you can speak to and people will want to check out your profile. That's a super useful one to just kind of build up some momentum and everything, and also meet other people that want to interact and stuff. So there's also something with DMs. I think if you are DMing people, you'll show up in their feed for a little bit.
Yeah, that's what we've been told. And I think that I've noticed that too. Yeah, anytime you have that sort of engagement behind the scenes, the algorithm is going to connect you guys together on the For You.
Yeah, great. And that's not to say like go cold DM a bunch of like big accounts or something.
But we're not saying that either.
Yeah, because they will block you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want to be doing that. But, making those connections and, maybe if there's someone you haven't chatted with a while, sending them a message being like, hey, what are you doing? What's up? How you been? I haven't seen you in a while. Or going to their profile and checking out their pinned post or their recent posts and getting in the replies there. Some of those people that like to interact with you and you just maybe haven't in a while and you want to just make sure you rebuild that connection. That can definitely help. It's really just getting out there. And If my goal is actually to just like kind of increase the reach of my little like bubble of people that I know will interact with me, it is just kind of going out and interacting with them as well, going to the For You feed and finding them, or like a list, like Rich said. If you have a list, like this is a smart way to do it, is to have a list. I do have a list for the community, but it's so hard to add people to a list in bulk. Like it shuts you down and once you add 20 people. So I have to like do it every day and I keep forgetting. So I do have a collaboration station list. If you're looking for one of active creators, that's a good one. Yeah, lots of great tips. So yeah, anyone who wants to talk about this, you're welcome to request the mic or just come up and hang out on stage. You can also comment below, send out a repost the space. We've already got some amazing people here already. So I'm looking forward to really getting into this discussion more. I want to say hi to Avni, who joined up on stage right away. She jumped in here. She was before my co-hosts even arrived. I love that. We've got Honey Badger up on stage. Welcome. Great to see you. Always lovely. I know you have wonderful insights probably on just like establishing those connections. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say on it. And Mars, welcome. Good to see you as well. You're always building relationships on the timeline as I see it. And you're very good at it too, with your specialty, like your niches of specifically like cooking and like the homesteading type of lane. So lots of good stuff there. But I want to introduce Avni, who I haven't spoken in my spaces for a while, and she hosts wonderful spaces. So I want to give her a chance to say hello and maybe talk a little bit about what you got coming up.
Hey, Kate. Hey, everyone. Yeah, whenever you do a space, I'm sleeping. So I've been trying to tune in as listener and then just listen to you as I'm sleeping. I got to support a friend. Yeah, I'm a singer. I will be a better singer, a bigger singer. I'll be everywhere one day, you'll see. But I do host spaces. I am a multitasker. I'm just over 100 days on X now, which is interesting, learning something new every day, meeting new people, having a fun experience. And I'm intrigued where you're going to go with this whole topic.
Yeah, so I'll ask you this question because you are a new account. And I want to get to everyone here who's on stage too, because I want to hear what you have to say. But because you're reasonably new, and your first day, I think, is when we connected. Because how did that happen? Like, because you got kind of established pretty quickly in a space, or were you in a space or you started a space like almost right away? How did that happen? Because I think it was a really good approach to just kind of getting yourself out there almost immediately.
So I technically started being active on X on the 30th of November. I literally just scrolled my timeline because I don't have a lot of posts. And when I did my first ever space, that was on the 15th of December, 2024. And somehow I was like going in spaces. I went into a couple spaces. It was a good experience, bad experience. Somehow stumbled upon Andy's space. Andy connected me with Liz, I believe. And Liz and me were talking. We were like, oh, let's start a space together. Why not? Literally the next day, opened a space, had no idea what was going on, didn't know what the topic was, just started talking. People showed up. It was a blast. And it went on for 3 hours and 33 minutes. Finally ended, and then did a space with you the next time.
See, how awesome is that? Like if you're a little bit outgoing, you can start making connections on this app right away. And she didn't have, any followers, not following many people, but just was out there mingling. And then people hear your voice and they realize, oh, this is just a new person. And they're trying to get established, learn their way around X, and they're outgoing and friendly and want to get after it, So like us people in spaces, when we hear someone like that, we can tell the difference between someone like that versus, some spammer or negative person or, botish type of account. So that's a really cool idea. Just getting in there and mingling in spaces, making connections and being like, hey, I want to host a space with someone who's established. And then there you go. You're off and running. Really, really cool. I want to welcome Honey Badger to the stage. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm wondering, have you ever taken a break from X? You're always ever present, always checking in and seeing you around. But have you taken a break from X before? And then when you did you find yourself having to like do something extra to get back?
I've never taken a break. I have thick skin. I'm good luck. Good luck chasing me away. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are far too many wonderful people on this platform. I learn far too much every day. And, I don't know, I feel like over time, people kind of start to rely on you too, you know? And so, whereas I think that social media is the vast majority of the time regarded as non-commitment relationship, you know what I mean? I guess that's some people, but that's not me. I have dedicated to people that I've grown, I know have grown to rely on me because they told me so. And it's, it's humbling, but it's also a responsibility. And if you don't take that responsibility, you're not going to be around for very long, because you can smile in people's face and tell them how wonderful they are. And, once people realize that you're just using them for a stepping stone, they will depart quietly. Most of the time, it's not a blow up. Most of the time, you've got the silent observers, like in the in the listeners' lounge. They're just listening to us talk, and we're all exposing what we actually think and what we actually believe every time we speak and every time we listen. So, in other words, they're all listening to us. We're being judged right now, and I mean, I don't mean that in the pejorative. I mean, people are, honestly, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying people are looking at all of us and saying, do I want to be cool with this person? Is this a person I want around me? And it is what it is. So, first and foremost, people judge you by how you treat others, I think, you know, and I definitely do. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, no matter how nice a person is to me, I look at how they talk about others, treat others, etc. I think that's the litmus test. And so you're going to go through for anybody that's new, if I can give you just this one piece of advice, I don't even know if it's advice, it's just an observation, but there's like molting phases on the platform. Does that make sense? There's kind of a honeymoon phase, I think, sometimes. And then, like, and I always hate using this metric, but it's really the only metric we have, which it's not a good one, mind you, but it's like, it is what it is. Like, once you have 5,000 followers, once you have 10,000 followers, you see what I'm saying? You're going to find people are going to treat you in very different ways, for better, for worse. You might find people are all of a sudden nice to you, the bigger you get, kind of. Or you might find people are really dismissive of you, or they're really mean to you once you get bigger. Does that make sense? So point being is, and I think Kate gave brilliant advice here. Meeting people in spaces is really, really the best way. It's not perfect, but it's the best way to get a read on people. You know what I mean? And you're going to meet people that have like 100 followers, but they're cool AF. They're just, they just keep to themselves. And then you're also going to meet people with 1 million followers who are also cool AF. And you're going to meet everything in between, So I think the one thing we always want to remember is people don't really remember what we say in spaces, like whether, I know a lot about something, or whatever. People remember the specifics of what is said, but they will always remember how they felt once they left the space. I think that's the thing, that's the play right there. When people leave this space, they're going to remember how they felt. And that's how they're going to judge whether or not they come back. So I hope that helps. I'm just a person on X, just like all you guys, and if we can help each other cooperatively, I think that's the best thing about spaces. So
Yeah.
Have a wonderful day, Kate.
Thank you. No, that was great. And yeah, I've heard you say that before, as a host or a speaker, the people will remember maybe not exactly what you said, but how you made them feel. And I think that is just such a cool way of thinking about it. And it's so true. And then also, like, as a listener, we can also observe that in ourselves when we do hop around to spaces. We can kind of pay attention to, like, what are we feeling when in a certain spaces? Like, is it making us angry? Or, if political space it's getting us angry, maybe you don't want to be in there. I don't know, maybe you do, or is Are you rolling your eyes? Are you enjoying the conversation? Are you learning something? Are you reaching for the pen and paper and writing something down, or the note, or on your notes, or going to someone's talking about a tool or an app and you're going on your computer to that as they're talking? Like there's lots of things that we're doing in that moment when we're on Spaces, because we're all distracted like crazy constantly. And the only thing that I can't do while listening to a space is scroll the timeline. Like I don't have that ability to scroll and read while listening. I don't know if that's anything that anyone can possibly do. Maybe people think they can.
Of course, I'm doing it right now.
If I can make a suggestion too, if you are able to, I'm sorry you can't, Kate, but if anybody, like if you know anybody on stage, right, and you're listening while you're thinking about it, right, because the algo is weird, but you see people you like, you tap on their face, go to their timeline, check out what they just posted or whatever, and just engage with it. Because it's not out of, it's not for not being interested. It's just you, for whatever reason, we don't see each other all the time. And so while it's kind of top of mind, it's a cool little trick. Oh, but also guys, here's the other thing I've learned. This is a cold reality too. Most people aren't looking for you. You, like, people that follow you, they're just not looking. They get on, they get on the app and, they kind of scroll the For You or whatever, see what they like or don't like, get into a space, maybe make a couple of their own posts, but they're not looking for it. You know what I mean? And that is no insult to anybody. Please understand me. People get busy. We all are doing our own thing. So that's why I say I think that's a cool trick. When we're all here together, take a look around at the people that you follow or that you don't see all the time. Just tap on their profile picture and engage with one of their posts. And so that'll bring them in your For You as well. So sorry to be rambling, Kate.
No, that's great. Like sometimes these little tips and tricks, like that's why I like to kind of do this welcome to X type of space, because it's some of these little like basic things that maybe, us that are just on here constantly every day, all day, just do it naturally or without thinking. And it's great reminders. And then sometimes it's like, oh, I actually don't do that. Maybe I should do that. And while you're talking, I'm thinking like, oh, sometimes I'll turn on notifications for someone because like I'm interested in them, and I know that if maybe I'll reply or interact with one of their posts, I might see them again, maybe, but I might not. But if I definitely want to establish that connection with somebody, I might turn on notifications for a little while, or if I know they have something coming up that I don't want to miss, because sometimes like a space or a live stream or something else that I know that they're doing, I might just turn on notifications temporarily in their profile. There's no pressure there. It's like you can always turn those off, but it can be helpful to interact with somebody more that you definitely want to establish a connection with more than just that in that moment. I've done that a few times with people because there's like these mid-size accounts. They're not huge, and they're not small. They're definitely experts in their niches. Like I like to think of like Robert Scoble's like one of those accounts. Like he's a big account, like don't get me wrong, but he's fairly niche, and you can get into his replies and have a conversation with him about something if that's like a topic that you're aligned with and you want to have a back and forth with somebody. And so there's different accounts like that on X, and once you seek those out and find them, they're very fun to have the notifications on for, because you can get into those replies and do a little back and forth, not just like some of them like you'll reply and no one, hello, did anyone see this 2,000 views on your reply and not like one heart. Like what's going on in here? So great tips. And we've got some more friends up on stage, and YouGottaBillieve's up here with their hand up. So I'm going to call on him and say hello. How you doing today?
Hey guys. Hey Kate. Hey Rich. Hey Christopher. I'm doing good. Just getting the day started about an hour and a half ago. Got the kids ready to go. But I'd like this topic you're talking about. It's weird because when I first came in here, I think you were talking about how what do we do, if you decided to leave for a little bit, and we don't know what a little bit is, right? That could just be a day, and then all of a sudden your reach is tanked, or that could be a week, month, whatever. And we have all these ideas where it's like, okay, we can reach out, we can comment, we can engage with people, which, I mean, we should be doing that naturally anyways. But I still don't understand really what causes things to happen. I mean, it's really luck based too, because last night, and I'm not a big political guy or conspiracy guy, but the one conspiracy I do believe is that JFK was assassinated by the government. We don't need to talk about that in extent, but because of that, last night I spent time, taking the files down from the website, and I used Grok to like do a bunch of stuff to analyze it. Anyways, with all that, I created a article post, and we know how crappy article reach posts are. And I'm almost at 3,000 impressions for the article post. Again, it might be an outlier, just JFK files and all that, but it's really just kind of puts into perspective that no matter everything you do, you could do everything the right way, the way people tell you to do, and it's still going to come down to whether or not, one, the content's good, and two, you hit the lucky spot of being put into the algorithm and pushed to people. And so I think more than anything, you just got to keep working on your content, keep putting stuff out there and not getting discouraged, because eventually something will hit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, getting that discouraged from posting, it's a thing for sure. I don't get like a ton of reach on my posts, but I still like to post. And there's a few people that follow me and like to interact and see what I'm doing and what thoughts are passing through my brain, because it's very much a stream of consciousness in my feed, my thing, which isn't for everybody, and I get it. And so that's why I kind of have the community too. So it's like, okay, this is like more where I'm doing my niche content of like X topics, content creation topics, and all this stuff. So it's not just like, okay, you have to follow my profile. No, you can just join the community and we'll connect, and you'll get into all that stuff. If, I'm not the flavor for you or whatever. And the idea of like trending topics is an interesting one too, because we were talking about this, Christopher and I, about how it's about catching that wave of a trending topic. So it's not always the first post about a topic that catches the wave, right? It's the one that's kind of like as it's rising, approaching the peak there. And like Alex Finn's post the other day about Mark Rober is a perfect example of that. Like he didn't post the first day that happened. It was, I think, the next day or the next morning he posted about it, and it just caught that wave because everybody had already seen a post about it, right? And now they were being fed by the algorithm that topic. And then his post comes out, which of course he has an account that will get interaction right away. He's really developed his audience to do that. So he will get pushed out a little bit more aggressively than the rest of us. So, but that timing was just perfect, I think, on that. And it was like obviously a trending topic. And, you can talk about this stuff like, oh, everyone knows about Mark Rober and everything. But I know not everyone is on X constantly, but that was like a huge thing for like 2 days on here. So that's just like another example of how to utilize trends. But then again, also it has to not just do trends for the sake of trends, but ties into you in your content and makes sense for you. It could just be an opinion on something, but it's definitely better when it's, ties into your personality of your account and the stuff you produce already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
if you
reply to that, oh, sorry, you go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, yeah, if you're getting those impressions, but you're not getting the engagements from those impressions, it's going to have the opposite effect on your account.
Yeah, I was going to say you want to make it a good post, because if you're constantly trying to do that and the posts are just spammy, it's probably going to destroy your account, at least in the short term. That may be one of the reasons why people get shadow banned. They're like, why am I shadow banned? Maybe it's because you're posting bullshit and trying to ride the wave instead of making something good.
Yeah, it's too easy to look at the trending list and just go and make a post off of it. That's probably the easiest way for X to go and find platform manipulation.
Yeah, balance. It's all about balance, right? Utilize all the tools that are available to you here on X, and something like that might be a way, like if you're away from your account for a couple of days when you're usually a daily user, then yeah, maybe picking up on something that people have been talking about for a day and adding in your 2 cents might help just get you seen by your audience, that something not tied into whatever that topic is that's kind of trending, but doing it, constantly for everything and then using every hashtag or whatever. Yeah, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. I think you're right. The algorithm or whatever flags your account for stuff like that. I think you're onto that. I want to say hello to a new account that I don't think we've spoken before, Sanmon. Welcome to the space. Thank you so much for joining us. The stage is yours.
I just wanted to check in. I've only been on X for 30 days or less, actually, and wanted to kind of find out what are some of the limits on memes. What can you say? What can you not say, and how not to get in trouble?
You're pretty open with free speech here. I mean, as long as you're not racist, you'll probably, as long as they're not hate-filled, you'll probably be good. And even then, that I've seen some pretty bad stuff on here, so you're going to be fine.
Okay, so, I'm not abrasive towards any person on X. I may be abrasive towards, let's say, political things, I'll just, example would be like Ukraine or something like that right now in Zelensky.
There's plenty of
you should be able to do whatever you want
for Zelensky. Yeah.
Okay. And it seems like they're throttling me to a certain extent. If I post a couple memes, I get, so many engagements, so many views. And then after so many, all of a sudden they just shut off. Is that something of the algorithm of X or what?
Yeah, you are embedded in certain silos. They're like groups of people. And beyond that, it's not going to share out. So the only way to break out of those silos is to, post about different things consistently and interact with accounts that are like outside of your wheelhouse, that are maybe just things that you're interested in. But you have to do that also consistently. Otherwise, you just top out at a certain amount.
Yeah, and to do that, find some communities. Search for communities that are like niches that you're interested in, and that'll help you branch into other silos.
All right.
Yeah, I would definitely check the communities tab, and you're welcome to join this community. This is in a community space for Collaboration Station, so you're welcome to request to join. And because for memes in particular, I think there's probably some pretty big meme communities on here. I don't know for sure, but I bet they are. And then also the specific niche interests that you have as well. And that would be probably a good strategy. I don't know, Rich, you might know better than me, like posting a meme once in a while in a community with maybe some context. I don't know.
No, that's a good idea. Yeah, like I have a precious metals community and we love silver memes, and then like gardening communities, like there's total meme potential when you think of gardening. Yeah, you can totally meme out in other niche communities, kind of blend together and overlap those communities a little bit. That's a good way to do it.
Okay, because I have just started joining some communities today and seeing more about what's going on in those communities. I haven't posted too much though.
Yeah, it's kind of weird on here, like how it all works and posting in them and stuff. Sometimes stuff just goes flat, but then sometimes stuff just kind of catches and it does pretty well. And especially as a new account, it's going to be harder to get traction. It's going to be very discouraging because it's just when you're a new account, they flag you for things constantly. And I don't know how it all works, but I know I see it all the time. Like there'll be people who I've met here in a space that I've talked to, and I know they're real people and everything. And then I go into my posts or a post I put in the community or something, and then it's in the spam thing. I open that up and there they are. And so it's a real thing. It's really unfortunate. Us that have been established on here, we actually like meeting new people, but any kind of slip up will put you in that spam replies at the bottom. And there's no real way of knowing what it is. It could be just replying twice to the same post. I've seen that. So, just don't get discouraged. I want to invite you to join our community and then also come to our spaces. When you're in the communities that have spaces, that you get alerts for when those happen. So it's very helpful to stay engaged with the people. The Active Creators Club is another really good one that is very active and has spaces a lot. So I kind of look for those kind of communities that do host spaces. So then that's another way to just meet people. And then you start meeting people, and then people remember you, and then they maybe will see your posts and then interact with them because they know you. And so we'll support you as much as we can, but I know, just try not to get too discouraged being new.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me being new. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out. I got in trouble, I guess, within 4 or 5 days. Somehow with X, I got a red flag and have no clue what that was about. But I just took it and go, eventually they'll let me out of jail.
It could be something as simple as following too many people too quickly, or liking too many posts too quickly, especially being a new account. That being said, until you reach about 500 followers, feel free to follow as many people as you want. Just don't do it like rapidly in succession, but like you don't have to worry about that ratio, because people talk about the ratio of follower to following. You don't have to worry about that so much while you're below 500 followers. Once you get above 500 followers, you'll want to curate your following list a little bit better to put that more into a 60-40 percentage. But yeah, until you're at 500, don't worry about that so much. Just don't follow people like rapidly.
Yeah, I only follow about 250 people right now, and I have 60 followers, so I don't consider it that bad for first 30 days. And half of them are, have blue check marks.
They are going to limit your reach, though, because of the, from what I understand, the ratio. And of course, you don't want to take that into too much consideration, but supposedly the worse your ratio is, the worse your reach is. And I don't know to the extent of how that matches up with the numbers, but basically you want more followers than you're following. And I've heard the ratio is like 70-30, but I can't confirm that.
Yeah, I don't know how much of this I buy into, honestly, when it comes to getting actual reach on the timeline. Like, I think it's more just a thing of like people wanting to follow you. Like, it's just a psychological thing for people. Like when they click on your profile, if they see more, you're following more than following you, it's like a lot of people have that thing like, oh, this is a bad account to be following. So I think that's really the only effect, because I don't.
It's in the algorithm.
It's in the algorithm.
It's in the algorithm. Yeah, it's in there.
All right.
Sorry,
all right.
Yeah, I follow who I have interest in. I'm interested in AI and the creative side of AI, both memes, the artistry, and also videos. So, I mean, if it's going to keep me down, I don't care, as long as I'm following what I'm interested in.
Yeah, that's a great attitude. And yeah, because I think following around probably 500 people's, that's generally the max. I'm a like 1,200 or 1,000 or something like that right now, and I definitely don't see all those accounts, but it's difficult because I like unfollowed somebody and then followed them again. And then now they're like, what the heck? You unfollowed me? I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, and the algorithm doesn't like that. If you unfollow and follow and unfollow the same account over and over again, especially like after, it's so dumb that we have to tiptoe around the algorithm. But what I was saying, you got to believe what you were saying about like how it suppresses you if your ratio is off. I believe it is in the algorithm, and somebody has seen it, that if you are below 500 followers, there is no effect like that on your account. It's only when you get above 500 that starts to apply to your account.
Okay, good to know.
Thanks.
Yeah, very useful. So feel free to hang out up here and raise your hand if you got anything else you want to add or any other questions that pop up for you. I'm going to go ahead. I think it was Timo is next, and then Avni, and then we got Torah up here as well. So Timo, how you doing today? Good to see you.
Hey, good to be here. And great space you have going, and good question by the new account here. Yeah, we've had a couple of spaces for Joshua. I think some of you guys were there. He passed away, if you knew him. But other than that, it's good times as always. When it comes to the current discussion here, I think we had someone who is kind of like within the sphere of the ex-people, actually an ex-employee, who said that the ratio thing is not in the algo anymore, that this is a social media and the reach should get better when you follow. But because the algo that somebody has read 400,000 lines of. That's on GitHub. I mean, it's like 2 years old now. So anything that's in there is probably just crap and not worth of your time ever to tackle. They haven't posted the new algo ever since Elon took over, pretty much. But yeah, that Twitter algo was full of all those weird things. But that person on our space said that the ratio doesn't matter anymore. But for the Sanmon who asked about the how the posts work, like basically how I understand it works right now is that it gets, when you post, it gets sent to some of the people who are either online of your following or just like have interacted with you. And if those accounts don't interact with the post, it's pretty much going to die flat out dead on arrival type of thing. And if you get action, then it gets sent to more people and more. And if it gets shared around and people comment on it, like it, then it kind of picks up and then it has the potential of going viral. But it's kind of time dependent. And then there's these accounts that do a lot of gimmicks around this, like people search for GM or GN, and then they just go and like gazillion posts and drop stupid comments under them. But then when you interact with accounts, your stuff will be shown to them too. So, and same with the spaces. So now you have interacted as a speaker on this space. You're probably going to be seeing some of our posts, even if you don't follow us on the For You feed, because the algorithm knows that you were in this space and these people were here. So it's kind of like trying to hook you up with the people you have been interacting with. So the easiest way to get more eyes on your stuff is to maybe go around and like and comment some posts before you post yourself, and then post your thing, and then go around and like and comment on other people's posts. A lot of people, like I, for example, did this early on by making a list. And I still do have a list of small accounts that are quite actively interacting. You can find it on my profile. Just click on the 3 dots there and find lists. And it will show. You can follow different people's lists, or you can create your own lists. If you do a list that you want to follow up, usually make it private, because everyone's going to get a notification when you have them into your public list. So if you build a massive list, you're going to annoy a lot of people. But it's also a kind of a nice thing to know that somebody likes your stuff so much that you are on a list. But anyway, so those are just kind of like how to get seen as a very small account. At least that worked for me. Currently, what happened to my account was, since the election, a lot of the tech people just skipped town and went to the other platforms, got annoyed by the political agendas and whatever silly things to destroy their accounts and reach. But what happened was, for instance, the people I had followed, around 2,000 people. I just booted like a whole lot of people from there now, because all of them are inactive. So all my posts are going to followers that are inactive. And so just remove those. You can do it on the browser. And yeah, it's been getting better now. My posts are getting seen again now when they're not spread out to accounts that are not doing anything anymore. So especially when you're a small account, it's easier. But when you grow, you're going to have like tens and hundreds of people follow you per day. So it's very hard to curate who is actually a human being who might be interacting with you and who is just a bot. But yeah, it's a learning curve. But pretty much, if you want an engagement, engage. That's pretty much the simple rule. And don't be a dick. That's about it.
Yeah, that's really good. Those tips about the lists. I forget about that. You can go to someone's profile and find the lists that they've made. And yeah, that's a super good tip. And
yeah,
also,
sorry, Kate. I'm sorry I cut you off. Especially, there's a dude called Robert Scoble. If you're into AI, he has like 50 lists of thousands and thousands of AI accounts.
Robo-Scoble?
So check out Scoble. Yeah. Scoble has a massive public list of AI people. So if you're into that, just to check them out and start interacting with the people on their lists, because you can do that. You don't even have to follow them. You can just follow the list and then go to your list and scroll that list feed, and you can actually pin your list. So in your user interface, you will have like a tab of those lists that you want. I think you can pin like 5 or 6 lists. So you can just like have them on your tab and then go through them like a doctor going through patients. And then you're going to get engagement by that. So sorry, Kate, for cutting out.
No, that's great. Yeah, his lists are fantastic for AI and tech. And also he has the interesting people list too. So that's a good ones to follow. I'm on one of those. And I wanted to also speak to like when you're adding people to creating your own list. I think, as long as the title is like something like, oh, interesting people or accounts I want to interact with, you name the list something that's like positive instead of, negative. I think we've all maybe been put on a list where you're just like, okay, this person has a mental problem, but you can always remove yourself if someone adds you to a list. So don't be too afraid about that. It's good to check once in a while. And I think you get a notification. Yeah, I guess if it's a private list, maybe you don't, but I don't know.
Yeah. That's the way. You don't get a notification if it's a private list, but you will see it on the lists I'm on, even if it's a private list. Like when I was doing the impressions, I was flame baiting the right and left. So I got put on lists like the Nazis of X and like the idiot Marxists of X. So I just blocked those list owners to get out of those lists. But yeah, it's a funny thing. What can happen here?
Yeah, so that's a good thing, good reminder to check on occasionally is, you go into on the desktop, if you go into, let's see, what is it? The more, and then there's the lists. And then in there, you click the 3 dots on the top right and it says lists you're on. And you can go in there and check the lists that you're on. And you want to remove yourself from any of those rage type lists, because that's where the potential for, a mass attack, like some of these things that can go on, they collect lists for those, and you never know how you can get wrapped up in that kind of stuff. You don't want to be associated with those people at all. Yeah. So just that's some really good tips for lists. I'm not a big list user personally, to my own demise, I think. And, so I highly recommend it as well. Let's go ahead to Avni, who has her hand up. Avni, how are you?
I am great. I actually want to rewind a little bit to, is it Sanmon, what he said, because I'm a total little nerd gremlin over here, and I have a little tip on what you can figure out a way of what you can and can't do on X or any platform, honestly. So you take the terms and conditions and you copy and paste them into either Grok or any AI, and you just ask it to bullet point the lists of rules for you. This way, you know what you can do on the platform, what you can't do, stops you from end up risking, the loss of your account. On top of that, I would definitely check in your country what you can and can't do, because for me, for example, I can't sing in spaces because we have no fair use. So if I sang in the long term, I'm really screwed, legally. Also, the regulations in the UK, we've got some new ones coming out, so it kind of prohibits us from doing certain things. So I would definitely do the AI little hack and then check your regulations just to be on the safe side.
Or you could do the opposite of that and probably be fine.
Yeah, you could just be a Christopher and be a complete menace and risk everything.
Gonna be a rebel.
Can you sing original music, Avni? Like, it's just copyrighted music, right?
Yes, it's just basically anything that's anyone else's. So it has to be 100% original, 100% self-produced. And if it's in a space, it can't be recording, because far as I'm aware so far, recorded music can be flagged as a stolen or used music from somewhere else.
Yeah. So that's a great point. Yeah. Not all of us are in the land of the free, so you want to check what the rules are in your country. And you will notice, I notice this quite a bit as an American, that I see Canadians, I do see some UK accounts, I do see some Australian accounts. I very rarely see accounts from other countries that aren't, I guess, English speaking, right? So if you are I guess, how do you reach across those borders? Timo, your hand's shut up. You're in Norway?
I'm in Finland.
Finland.
Yeah. So the hack to do that is in order for you to appear in the English Twitter or X is pretty much turn your app into English and preferably turn your telephone into English so you're 100 proof. And I do also put my trends to be looking for trends at the United States because that's where most of my active followers are coming from. United States, UK, Canada, and the good old African tech land, Nigeria. So that's how you get out of the bubble of your language barrier. I have a couple of other accounts. One is in Finnish settings, and I only see Finnish stuff on that because it's my Finnish political trolling account. So I just use it for fun, and if it burns, it burns.
Yeah, Kate.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, when I first started my account, like I was interested in that branching out to other countries and people in different languages, especially with precious metals, because, it's universal. It's not just American or English, obviously. And so I found a lot of Japanese stackers, a lot of people who are silver collectors in Japan. And so what I would do is once I found a few of them, then I would kind of go through their follower lists and pay attention to their posts and who was commenting on their posts, and then, go into their profiles and, comment and reply and stuff like that. And it's a little harder to do, obviously, because you have to translate each post so that you're not just like spamming and you're actually trying to make real connections with these people. But yeah, I was able to kind of break into that audience a little bit and gain a bit of a Japanese following. I don't see them a whole lot though in my posts, so I don't know if it was really worthwhile.
Yeah, because they probably just aren't seeing it, like with what Timo's saying, having those settings as if you are in another country, having those settings as an English speaker, if even if English is your second language, I guess that would still be a good idea if you want to connect globally as someone in a different country. So that's very interesting. Because I just want to explain how hard it is for us to, as the in the English speaking country, how hard it is for us to find people outside of that who don't have those settings. You have to really, like, communities is probably the only place where you can actually come across those people. That'd be my guess. If there's like certain countries have probably communities in that focus in on those countries' politics or whatever is going on locally, then that would be a way to connect with those people, I think. So good points.
But you have to speak the language.
Yeah, I don't see those spaces, and like the spaces tab, forget it. Like trying to find spaces in there is impossible. So
if you go to Spaces dashboard and you can search spaces in different languages there, and there's a whole lot of them going on all the time. So yeah, you just gotta find them. But we're not shown because you have to have someone speaking that you follow that it even shows up on your ticker.
$40 a month for Premium Plus. How about live translation of spaces?
Right. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I feel.
How about just working spaces?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know.
We need that first.
That would be nice. Yeah. And, with the ability to translate a post, how easy that feature really should be, or it be able to be implemented. Like, I just am really interested in that idea of just making connections with people and language not being the barrier. It seems so old fashioned, doesn't it? Like you go to a country and you meet somebody that doesn't speak your language and not being able to communicate. Like, why is that wall still there? It just seems kind of weird that we should be able to have that. And if someone's posting in, Slovenia in their native language about a subject that I'm interested in, it's like, why can't I see that? And it's marked as translated to English. I see that, and then I reply in English, and then they can see it translated in their language. Like, why can't that interaction happen? That would be amazing. I feel like we're kind of really siloed by that. I want to continue on with the hands here because we got some more speakers up on stage. Thanks so much for joining us. And we have Torah of the Land up on the stage, who joined the community, I think, last week. So it's great to see you here. Welcome to the space. How are you?
Thanks, I'm fine. Speaking of language barriers. I hope my accent won't kind of mess up stuff.
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I'm from Israel. I'm not a rabbi or something like that. I'm just trying to promote specific content. And just to join the community, introduce myself, I really liked the last space about authenticity and doing stuff that are just kind of resonating. As you know, as a musician, as a creator, it really spoke to me because I'm new to social media, and I tried Twitter for like fundraising once and getting to promote a specific project, and I actually got good success with that, and I stopped with that. And I just got interested in AI, and like my content is very niche, and it wasn't translated yet, and I decided that I would kind of try to that it has a lot of value, especially in English. So I tried to kind of see how I can do that, and trying to figure out a lot of stuff all at the same time. And actually, the content is niche, and currently it's kind of contentious because of the situation. And I'm trying to get away from that, from kind of following the trends and responding to politics. But it includes politics, but it's much broader. It's philosophy, it's history. I'm not trying to promote my content, but I actually would like to hear some maybe advice on, I don't want to oversimplify it by just doing stuff like posting what is fun for me, like creating images and just, some short, because my content is very serious and I want to represent it authentically, meaning I don't want to kind of express my own opinions about that. I just want it to be quality content and communicate it well. So I just wanted maybe some advice on how to maybe get away from trends, or make it not just oversimplified, but more, easier to kind of fill up the timeline, because the content is much more long form, and I have that side I have like kind of set up. And thanks for the space. Really inspiring. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for joining us and coming up and introducing yourself, and the great questions. So I jotted down a couple notes while you were talking. And I did want to say that when you have like a lot of long form content, like this is actually a really, really good thing. Because what you can do is, depending if you have a Premium Plus subscription, you can do an article and really like pack that with like a lot of information on a topic. And that article will also be ranked on Google search and other search engines, and even AI chatbots will find those articles. So that can make you as a resource for information. But if you don't, I'm not saying you have to do that. So you can also, if you don't want to pay for the Premium Plus subscription to really get that long form content out, you can do the thread format. And there's lots of ways to get advice on that, but it would just be, you posting a hook in the first post and then unfolding the story in a series of posts underneath that, and keeping it reasonably short. And each post, and then also incorporating into that, images or a little bit of video clips and things into each of those. And now once you've kind of gotten that whole long form piece out, or if you already have it done, now you can take out little bits and pieces, and now you have individual posts. Now, depending on if it's like an evergreen content, meaning it's always going to be relevant, like philosophical things and history things, you can often tie those things into different current events, but they can also just be, general wisdom that we can appreciate at any time. And so you can take those little snippets and make those into short posts, or make them into memes, or tie in images, or even doing like short videos, and just other ways to, repurpose that information that you've already created in a long format, and just piecing it up into shorter little bits. And then also I would encourage doing spaces, getting familiar with how to host a space, or other people that enjoy the topics that you speak about, that you meet in spaces on your topics, and connecting with them and being like, hey, I want to host a space on this topic, get into the community, come to our spaces and share like, hey, I have this space coming up. It's going to be my first one or whatever, and we'll support you. and make sure you get some eyeballs on it and things like that. Because that can be the hardest part when starting out, is even people being able to see it or find it. If you just throw a space up and you have no one, it's not going to do well. And it can be discouraging. So I always like to say to people, if you're interested in hosting spaces or whatever, reach out to this community specifically by coming here and talking about it. And we will make sure anyone that can support you will, or if you need a co-host or something, that can be a game changer when it comes to hosting spaces. So I hope that gives you some ideas to chew on. And if you have long form content, then content's not your problem. You just have to be able to trim it up into bite-sized pieces or somehow apply it to the current events of the day, twist it, turn it, spin it around, and keep posting. So was that helpful?
Yeah, sure. That's very encouraging. But one question, because since I'm trying not to kind of share my personal opinion through these accounts, just to represent it in the content as it is, to just translate it and represent it visually as it is. So I kind of shy about opening spaces, because if it was my personal account, of course, but to represent the content of somebody else, of course, it's with permission, but I'm not doing it professionally. So there is like this aspect of, I have long-term content, but how much is the minimum that I have to kind of, and I want to engage people as a person, as just naturally, okay, without all this formality. But I just kind of want to make, what is the minimum that I have to do kind of a day, maybe a week, to not lose my exposure and just to keep it real.
1,000 replies a day. No, I'm just kidding.
Sure.
That's what people are like shooting for. People who are like heavily monetized and they're like, yeah, I got to work that payment. Like there's that rumor going around that you got to do 1,000 replies a day. Don't fall for that. I would say just as long as you're out there engaging with the accounts that resonate with you, the people that you're trying to make connections with. So, I mean, I don't know if there is really any solid number. I'm shooting for like 50 a day, 50 to 100. I mean, that keeps it pretty casual for me. I think at one point I was replying like 300 to 400 times a day. I really was. And they were very authentic and it was taking a very long time, but I was also getting a lot of engagement and growth on my account. So the more you do it, the more you'll get in return. But just to stay, active in the algo's eyes, I would say like at least 25 or so times a day. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you'll get different answers from different people on that.
Yeah, I'm not a big reply person. Like I don't do a lot of it. I'll just scroll through when I have time. And if I see something from somebody I know, or even if someone new, and it's just something that I had a little like quip that popped into my head, or I have a comment on, then I would go in and reply. And yeah, I mean, if you are trying to avoid expressing like of opinions and things on that, there's a lot of like history accounts, like there's a lot of a book and author accounts, like a lot of intellectual people are on here and they have their little silos and you have to seek it out a little bit. But they're very good and they're not political or opinionated or any way. They just are showing like facts about things and people do seek out that information. I think like Culture Critic is probably one of the bigger ones that does that. And there's some others that you can seek out that, you can reply with like an actual like intellectual reply or a thoughtful reply that doesn't have to somehow reveal your opinions on like political issues and stuff like that. You can just kind of comment like on like this beautiful architecture or whatever, right? So they're out there. It's something you definitely have to seek out because X just loves to feed the most controversial, the most like newsworthy or latest into your feed. So that digging has to happen a little bit, but it's out there and you can even become one of those accounts. It's definitely possible. So just keep at it. And another style of spaces, so these are like discussion spaces that we have where it's just like anyone can kind of come up and add to the conversation. And I do see the hands and I'll get to that in a second. It's just such a good question. Sometimes I do an interview format and there's definitely an audience for that where me, the host, and then I have a co-host guest that I interview. And then maybe I open it up to questions at the end, but there's not people jumping in, interrupting, all this stuff. It's just a conversation with an expert on a subject about something that you want to really get into. And you have a recording of that. You can get the recording and then utilize that in different ways. So there's a lot of different creative ways to use the platform than maybe you just see typically on the surface level here. So wish you luck, and I hope to see you again. I want to get around to the hands here. I think Timo is next, Naveen, and then Mars. So Timo.
Yeah, about the threads, I find it fascinating, but it's kind of a difficult. It's a hard format, but definitely worth trying. And if you want to, when you do threads, always bookmark your own thread, because then you can come back to them later and make a folder for those. There's My Threads folder. You can do it on your phone, whatever device. And when you bookmark stuff, and then have another folder for banger threads that you find or banger long form posts, and just study them. And if you like AI, you can just copy hundreds of them, dump them into a document and feed it to Grok or something else and ask, what is this? And I did this with threads, big thread writers, and just copied their hooks. And I built a hook lab on my Claude, just a project, started a project there and dumping hooks on there on successful threads. And I'm telling them how many impressions those threads are getting. So I'm kind of teaching it to look into hooks, but that's the one thing you can do. Easy way to find them. People use emojis like the thread icon or thread emoji. So search for that thread emoji. Also search for the downward pointing index finger, the hand emoji that points downwards, because people use that. Read more about it on this. Then they have the thread emoji and the downward pointing finger emoji. So searching for those in combination or alone, you will find a lot of threads. And then you can just read through and see what people are doing with that format. And as you're a premium, you can do long form posts, and you can, if you're on your, I think it actually nowadays works on mobile too, but if you add more than one picture, you can drag that picture from the top left corner of that picture and drag that image between paragraphs on your long form post if you like to do something like that. And so that's a possibility. And then people do all kinds of meme threads or whatever. Images are always good, especially original images. I think the best performing posts that I have gotten, they always have my face or some human being doing something interesting. So those kind of tend to do good. Images are okay, but I think the algo kind of looks into them and doesn't, I don't know. I just get more better results with actual images. But anyway, so yeah, and as you said, Kate, the spaces, it's your space. You can do whatever. You can just there's one dude I know who's just journaling out loud, and then he downloads these spaces and he's just talking about his day on these spaces, and people pop in and listen to him doing a monologue. So it's your space. You can do whatever, and you have the power to kick people out if they're obnoxious or trolls, whatever. But yeah, definitely get into it. And the boring advice with a human face, even if it's AI face, is a lot better than weird icon or something, because trustworthiness is built by seeing the eyes. And I would say in space, coming to spaces, even with the some people don't even let people up if they don't look like a person. So it's a kind of a, you would probably do better with a human face PFP, but it's your account. So if you like struggling, you can go with the anonymous P2. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's trust issues. But now, when you open your mouth and your face, whether you're an owl or just an icon, now we know that you are a human being. And when you go to these spaces, further along the way, when you read someone's post, and you have been in spaces with that person many times, you will actually kind of read it in your mind with that person's tonation and voice. So that's how you build relationships on this platform. So that's the most important. The numbers are just vanity metrics. The most important thing is to build those relationships, the true fans that always show up on your post and share them. And I got to drop, or at least can't speak for a bit, but to Sanmon, I try to send you a DM, but your DM settings is on private, so you need to follow me back or unleash the DMs. You'll get used to the porn bots. It's not that bad. I have like 200 on my, not even the weird inbox, but the one below it, like the show even more.
You guys get porn bots?
Yeah, those are horrible.
Here's a secret too. You can just identify as female on here and you just don't see that stuff. All right. I don't know if does that show anywhere, like other than in the settings, like if you're identified as female or male or not specified, it's like one of those things that you do when you first sign up. I have no idea if that actually shows anywhere other than whether you get all the porn bots or not.
Well, I've gotten sugar daddies asking for things too, so who knows what's up.
Now you're just bragging, Timo. Just kidding. Yeah, no, I want to agree with the profile picture of a face. That will always accelerate your growth on here. It's not that it's impossible to do it with an avatar or a picture of something different than a human's face, but it's easier. It's an easier path. That's all. So thanks for those tips, Timo. Lots of really good stuff. So I do want to, just because Timo's dumping so many good value points, I want to just remind everybody that these spaces are recorded and then I edit them and create them into a podcast. So you can re-listen to them in a podcast format with the ums and the pauses and all that stuff removed. So they're a little bit shorter and it's just easier to consume on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And I have a link above to the Spotify podcast so you can follow the show there. And the episodes release, a few days after they happen live. And you can follow there and you can re-listen. If you are someone that ends up speaking on one of these spaces, you can now share with your friends like, hey, I was on a podcast. And what can be kind of an aversion to people about X, is that they don't really understand the platform. But Spaces is a great way to kind of introduce new people to X. And so with the podcast, you don't have to share them in X link. You can just share the Spotify link to the episode that you were speaking on, and they can see what it's all about and maybe get interested. And then maybe you can convince them to come to one of the spaces and get to know people. And then that's, I think, a really great way to introduce people to the platform in a welcoming way, where to get them off that timeline and into the spaces to meet real people. So that's pinned up above and also down below in the comments if anyone's interested in that, and much appreciated. All right, so we're going to continue on with the hands here, I promise. Sorry, there's just a lot of new people here, and I like to just give everyone an opportunity to introduce themselves and speak a little bit and ask their questions. So we have Naveen appear on stage, who I don't think we've spoken before in Spaces, but you've definitely been commenting on the space and in the timeline and in the community and stuff. So I want to say hello and give you an opportunity to introduce yourself if you'd like, or ask a question. So welcome to the stage. How are you today?
Thank you. This is the first time actually I'm speaking. I was listening here a lot, and thank you, Kate and Chris, for keeping this so friendly and inviting. I'm kind of opening up. This has been kind of a thing that I wanted to do, where I get into conversations, and this seems to be the perfect place to kind of kick that off. I'm into healthcare. I kind of started into healthcare because I was kind of trying to find a solution for myself. I was not getting the solution that I was really looking for in the marketplace. So I kind of got into it. Been here since 2017, but really became active around the COVID period. So I've seen ups and downs of Twitter regulations, of kind of getting, I wouldn't call it a shadow ban, but something like that, where you are forced to delete your tweets because of some regulation somewhere. So yeah, I've kind of seen a bunch of these ups and downs. What I want to kind of go back to the original point we started with, which is taking breaks. I think it's extremely important to take breaks from here. I kind of do it every couple of months, short one, and year end I take a long one, like 15 days, 20 days, completely out of here. I burnout, just like in jobs, is a real problem because we are grinding so much. Avoiding burnout is something that you all should kind of make it a practice, because I've seen it. I've seen some of very best accounts who was here have gone off because they got burned out. So yeah, take care of that. If I have to say tip, I would say the two things. One is the heart button. So when you love a content, there is a higher likelihood of that being transmitted to your connections. So when you see something, and even if you don't want to say anything, just hit the heart button. It helps out. Second thing, but do not abuse this one, use your @id in tweet. I have observed that has some impact on your own connections. It doesn't create anything new, but your connections will come to know that, hey, there is something coming from this particular account. I don't know whether you all have noticed that, but I kind of have noticed. So what I'm kind of trying to do is, when something is really near to my heart, like for example the daylight savings thing, I use the @button at myself so that it kind of go to the whole group. Anyway, thank you for the opportunity. I will have lots of more questions. This is really a safe space to kind of learn and grow. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us up here. I know how nerve-wracking it can be first time speaking in spaces. And for me, I've told the story a lot, but when I listened to a lot in spaces for a long time and never spoke, even though I have lots and lots to say. And then one time I found a space, I was like, okay, this will be a space that's, relatively safe. It's small, a few people that I've listened to before. I'll just come up and offer a tip that I have, jot down a few notes and go up and speak. And I was so uncomfortable. I did not like it at all. So I kind of then immediately pivoted to hosting spaces. I made connections through doing live streaming, and then kind of started to just host my own spaces, found a couple people who would be interested in co-hosting. We came up with an ideas that we could both speak on and collaborate, so it's not just me, it's what my co-host can also speak about and feel comfortable, because you always want to be prepared to it just being you and your co-hosts, and that's it. And so just being able to have a conversation with them about whatever subject your space is on is great. And I find that hosting dynamic is a much more comfortable place for me. I really like how that works. I don't know, maybe I have control issues. I don't know the dynamics of it, but if you do see yourself struggling speaking in spaces, even though you've tried it multiple times, give hosting a try. Find a couple of people who are in your niche or topics or something they have common with, and host a space and just see if you like how that feels better. And then you can kind of go from there and decide, like, okay, maybe I can do this more and come up with something that's an actual regular show, or I can maybe host a space in a community, volunteer my services in a community. There's lots of other ways to go about it. So that's just my experience. So it's not everyone's the same. And so don't be afraid to be like, oh, speaking, I'm so uncomfortable speaking, but you might enjoy the hosting or even the co-hosting role. Co-hosting role is a nice place to sit too, because
it's a cushy spot,
especially in a space with me, because I just talk and react to everything. You can just sit there and jump in whenever is optimal for you. You don't have to. There's not a lot of pressure on you guys, I don't think, other than the tasks sometimes I give you.
No, it's great. Yeah, you do a great job hosting. Some people got it, some people don't. You got it.
Well, thank you. All right, so I'm going to go to Mars, who's been so patient. Thank you, Mars, for being so patient. You're a wonderful person to have up on stage, and I always want to throw it to you, but we've had some new accounts, so I like to maybe give them an opportunity before our established, people that we see all around. So Mars is a fantastic account to follow if you're not yet. So thanks for joining us. What would you like to add today? Good to see you.
Oh, it's so good to see you too. And don't worry, I just put my hand up. So don't worry. I wasn't waiting or anything very long. It's been great just listening to everybody and what's going on. And I kind of just wanted to say hello. And I don't know what I think, what I'm doing right now is for, my ex journey, and what I'm doing is that I really have to not spend as much time on X. If I am spending time on X, I'll be documenting what I'm doing in my real life, because that's what I kind of do anyways. We're going to get baby chickens, and I thought I'm going to do this egg crisis thing. I've been through egg crises before, and I've been through financial crises before, and that's why I got chickens in the first place 15 years ago. And it saved me. It saved me in a pinch many times. And I've even been able to give my parents eggs, and we only have 5 hens right now, so we're getting more babies. But anyways, so just kind of documenting that. I love to do whole food, plant-based meals and cooking, and that's kind of a different kind of cooking, even though I cook meat for the family, and I eat some too sometimes, and obviously I eat some eggs here and there. But so I thought that's kind of where I'm going next, is more video, more spaces where I can do video spaces and have people in there, and and pop into spaces like Honey Badger was in here earlier. I always just admire her, how she just comes in and says a little bit and visits for a while, and then off she goes, and then she's might come back, and it's just great. It's just her. She's just this little social butterfly, more than me. I'm not that much of a social butterfly. but yeah, so that's kind of where I'm going, and it looks like I might get to participate in this new video feed that's coming up for X, the ex-employee who's kind of gathering people put something out yesterday. I think he added me to the list, so I just need to kind of verify that and double check. So I'm looking forward to that, because I do want to do this little series with how, if you want a backyard flock, everything from setting up your coop to how to set up your brooder box with the babies, and what's safe, what's not safe, what's to check, what's not to check, because they're so vulnerable when they're tiny like that. So yeah, so I'm hoping that I can provide feedback through that way. I've also, X was making my car payment every month. X is no longer making my car payment every month. So I started working for my husband. I'm actually working on a real estate appraisal right now, entering some comparables, just the data. I love data entry. I'm the data entry girl. I could stay up all night doing it. I just love that stuff, and calculating and things So anyways, I'm putting my effort and energy kind of back into his business for a while, because it's been rough. But I figured I always think outside the box around business and how to grow in times when there's not much going on. And so it's great. I was able to use Grok. Grok helped me research who to contact at HUD, so they will directly order appraisals from us rather than going through a middleman. So I still need to follow through on that, make phone calls and email and stuff like that, because everything's being reset up over there that I bet they barely know who's handling what at this point. So, but Grok was amazing. That was a deep search. And within 2 minutes, he did what would have taken me 8 hours. Just amazing. And then had step by step, here's who to contact first. Make sure, my husband's included on this FHA panel. I went in, verified he's there. Just next step is to contact this directly. And then it even gave me some things down the road from that. So yeah. And I guess, talking about that, sharing that in spaces, sharing, just kind of what's going on day to day. So now I have a lot of real estate input, and I'm a retired mortgage broker. That's what I did for 15 years. So, and I don't know, like I said, I love the data entry. I love the number crunching. I love figuring things out. So I just don't want to do that again.
Yeah. So this is what's really fascinating. It's when you kind of just put yourself out onto X as yourself, now it's everyone's kind of going along this journey with you, and it could be you tap into your real estate interests
Right.
or background or your homesteading or like the eggs. Like I'm an expert on chickens, so we're going to talk about chickens today. And the people will find you eventually, right? You just have to keep talking about it.
Yeah. Right. And I think, for me, that's more fun, definitely more fun than sitting and, like it says, scroll deep, reply wide. Like and because of replying, though, we meet people on here, we make connections and friendships. But it's really in the spaces that we get to know each other, right? Because we're talking and, there's a real human there and you can say so much more than just, a few sentences and a comment. So I figured my replying is going to be when I'm on my treadmill in the morning, walking and replying for a while. And that's going to probably be it for the day. And then obviously, reply to people who leave me a comment on anything I post. So, but yeah, I have to kind of get back to life. I can't be trying to make it here on X. I mean, but at the same time, I can, just a different way, not the way they have it set up right now. And hopefully it'll pan out later. That's my hope. It'll pan out later.
Yeah, we have a lot of hope for that video feed, I think, that supposed video implementation. But I want to ask you too, Mars, while I have you here, you had a avatar, right? Like the dog as your profile picture for a long, long time.
Yep.
And then you made the switch to your face.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe you could speak to that experience and what you noticed when you changed and when you did that.
Well, it's very hard to make it here as a dog. I'll tell you that. It took me so much longer to get my account off the ground. But I don't know, I really wanted that privacy. And I still have privacy. Aura knows who I am, but I still don't think she knows my last name. But and I don't care. We have each other's phone numbers. So if anything goes down, we can contact each other. But, that was a big thing is I was just wanting my privacy. I wanted to be able to say what I wanted to say without, I don't know, repercussion, even though I don't really say anything too wild anyways. I'm pretty reserved. But I just wanted that freedom, I guess, and so the dog allowed that, gave me freedom to kind of do that more. But putting my face on here, I really saw the difference in how people were getting paid having their face, how people were having connections and friendships that way. And it just made sense to share, my face. So even in my videos, though, I still wear sunglasses and a hat to keep that privacy. But to my subscribers, I show my face. I don't care. So that there's a little paywall there. It's little $3 paywall. And I need to, kind of focus in more on that as well. So I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Things get busy. Like right now we're also getting into tax season. So I do my brother's books as well as my husband's. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So very interesting. There's considerations for both of those things, like having an avatar profile pic versus your real face and everything. So there's lots to weigh there and you have to really choose what's best for you. At the time, you don't want to, I guess, do something you're uncomfortable with. Right. But if growing your account is the goal, I guess, the point is like a face is going to help with that, whether it's your real face or not, just a face.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, and yes, and that did happen. I grew a lot quicker once I put my face on there and I think everything just got better and improved. And then definitely, co-hosting space with Aura helps a lot too. And then doing my own spaces when I do them, that helps. And I don't know, just being real, So yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to is just trying different things all the time.
Yeah, that's great. And that's why I like your account too, because I'm just like doing whatever I am in the moment for the most part. I'm kind of really on this AI creative bent right now. Right. So I'm doing a lot of that. But next thing you know, I'll be posting something completely different. So, I think that is an approach that can work. Again, it's that is a slower approach than niching totally into one little, like throwing yourself into one niche.
Yeah.
But that gets boring,
Yeah, no, our lives are so broad. I mean, how many things I just list off that I'm doing, it's so broad. Homeschooling. I mean, we could add that. so much going on. And I did just join a homeschooling community today too. So, so for my account, I love that when I post to a community that it shows up on my timeline. So that way people can see other things that I'm interested in that they may not have known about. So I love that. And I love that the interactions in those community or on those posts kind of sweep across more people. And if that does help, if you're monetized, that does help increase your pay or add to your pay just a little bit. And you're just sharing your hobbies or interests and that kind of thing. It is brilliant what they've got going on. They just need to unlock it somehow so that more people can see each other. Like we really need to be unlocked to be able to see other things within our interest and multiply that across X, because it's such a huge platform. I always think about our little like community that we've got here, and if we were like really to number it, how far does that really stretch? And I really don't think it's very far, like maybe 1,000 people or less, 500 people, something like that. And I always wonder, like, is there another community like us out there? Like, are we a copy of another one? And we just haven't found them yet. And then we might discover them and be like, oh my gosh, they've been, I don't know.
And then we'll merge.
Yeah. I always think of that. I'm like, we can't just be like just a few of us here doing this. And then the fact that if we are like have this community and we're like this and friendships are building, even though they're online friendships, and the fact that we're not really exponentially growing from that is very bizarre. Like it really should be exponentially growing because there are plenty of real people on this app. So
like, are we like the X 1% as far as like active users? Are we the ones who are like just overly dedicated? Because I know what you're saying, like as far as the community, yep. I see the same people every day in the spaces, yep. And like you guys are my friends and you guys are my X community. And yeah, you're right. Like, is there another group out? These are some deep thoughts, Mars. I like it.
Well, and like, we were in that space and you were in the space too with Diligent. He was in that space. I think it was a Friday night. I don't know. But we were in there and he's just hanging out with us and talking. And he's such a much larger account than us. But in reality, we're just like him, just people doing the same thing here on X. And just, I don't know. It was just interesting because he was kind of fascinated by us, like, oh, like, what do you do? Who are you? Well, are you, he asked the question because, we're creators. Like we actually create posts and we're not just reporting the news. We're doing creative things and creating. And he was like fascinated because he was thinking like, well, are you Spaces host? Like, is that your main thing? And we're like, no, that's actually not our main thing, but we do Spaces, So yeah, that was a really eye-opening comment that he made and then made me think about it. Like, oh, we are unique. Yeah. So hopefully we'll be rewarded for that soon.
Yeah, maybe we are the 1%.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that where it's, yeah, there's not as many like daily active users as we think there is, but there's like millions of people on here that check in maybe once a week or a couple times a week, and tapping those people and getting them to like show up at your spaces and interact with your content is I think that's really hard to do. I want to continue on because we've Sanmon had their hand up for a while now. I want to get to them. So you can, if you had another question or comment or something, we'd love to hear it. Thanks for being so patient.
Yeah, from listening to Torah of the Land, I was wondering if he happens to be a Premium Plus subscriber, maybe articles might be a good way for him to be able to point people to some of the articles. I know Grok would help him write the articles if he doesn't have a ton of them already written up. Just wanted to pass that thought along.
Yeah, articles are a great thing if you have access to them. I don't think that upgrading just for articles is necessarily a good idea, but if you're already paying for Premium Plus because you want all the extra features and that what comes with that, you should be writing articles. This is a really good thing. You may think like, oh, they don't get any reach or anything. Occasionally something gets reach. Posting your articles will get it more reach. Sharing your articles in communities, this kind of stuff will get it more reach. But what articles have that posts don't generally have is long-term staying power. So an article will get ranked in Google search and be found by AI search much quicker than a regular post on social media. So if you are writing on a topic that you want to actually get out into the world beyond just that flash in the pan post, immediate reaction, then moving on, think about articles. And then it's also, a record of your content that you can easily find again too, because it has its own little tab on your profile. Timo.
Yeah, I was just about to say that it has its own tab and it stays. I downgraded from 50 euros monthly premium plus to the more nice 10 euros or something because, well, I didn't use Radar that much. It's a tool that has a lot of potential, but I think Grok kind of killed it because you can ask the same questions and Grok kind of is pretty good with that, though it's not hitting the at the moment trends like Radar is. But you really need to learn that tool in order to get the value out of it. And if you're not a trend hunter, if you're just doing your thing like a lot of us are here, then it's kind of a nonsense tool. But articles get a tab. And then if you pin your article, every pin post has, I think, 48 hours of a little bit boosted push to other people's For You feed. So if you pin, and it has that weird thing on the For You feed where you get that side scrolling post that people pinned or whatever weird feature, but it's kind of scroll by type of thing because it looks like an ad. So it could be like represented somehow better, but if people scroll by, I think you still get the impressions, the possible boost. But pinning a post gets a 48-hour boost. And I'm doing my articles on newsletter thing now, and I'm just shamelessly pinning them. And then to the new people, if you put outbound links on your posts, it's going to hurt them. So what people usually do is they put a white space between the .com or they do the gimmick where you post the link on the first reply. So you kind of make a mini thread where you add the link on the second post. And some people even go that far that they post initial post and like a couple of minutes later add the link post as a reply. So, but if you put outbound links to your post, I think it's the stupidest thing. Like, really? Like, why would anyone want to come here and promote their things if they get deboosted? It's kind of driving the people who would, the businesses who would look this platform as a potential to, so they're forced to do ads, and that's kind of silly. But obviously, X needs money. We all know it because our payouts just plummeted to crapola. So because we're not the folks that are doing 2,000 replies because we are hanging out on the spaces.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on the links and everything. And, there's definitely strategies around that as far as like getting reach for your links and stuff. And like, hosting a space, for example, I was hosting this space and below my space, I am putting links, and the people who are here listening to the sound of my voice can find the links and can do it, so that's a really effective strategy. Also in articles, you can put as many links as you want. It's not going to affect the reach of the article. It's never going to have any reach anyway. So you might as well load it up with all your links. If you do include affiliate links, of course, you have to disclose that. Make sure you do that. And then also, if the post has a call to action in it, I see no problem with including the link and it doesn't get the reach. Okay, boo-hoo. But if you're posting and there's a call to action in the post and then the people can't follow through on that call to action or have to do an extra click, that is going to exponentially decrease the call to action effectiveness anyway. So you could probably compare this and run tests with something, not right after each other, but maybe like a week apart or something, testing the post with the call to action and putting the link in the reply versus posting it with the link in the post with that direct call to action, click to do this, versus, hosting a space and putting the link. And, there's ways to track those links and where they go. So this is just I know it's not a popular opinion, but personally, if someone can't act immediately on your call to action, I don't understand what the purpose of a lot of impressions on a post is, in my opinion. So yeah, Timo, I'd love to hear what you think on that.
Yeah, it's the initial, if you're trying to make a point on something that you have on your website or whatever, and then you just get destroyed on the reach. That's why I kind of want the impressions, because when people see that, it's possibly a warm click. But I've been monitoring the websites that I built, one for the Startup Circle community website where we actually host our products and launches and links, newsletter links on that site. After each space, we mentioned that on our spaces, community spaces, and it gets a nice little boost on the visitors every time. So it's definitely a good way to have that. And one call to action that some people use here is I have built this, yada, yada, yada. I'm giving out this, yada, yada, yada. Comment, then the word like, I want it, or whatever the hell. And you'll be sent it with a DM. I know it's an extra hassle for the person, but it's not going to kill the post because you can send the link in a DM. And obviously DMs are always a good way to build relationships too later on, because these people are interested on the stuff that you are probably marketing or trying to put out there. Then it's a warm contact when they're interested enough to get a DM from you. So that's a good way to get your stuff seen. But some people find it super annoying. And yeah, but I don't know. It's the monetization is what it is. So I think there's tons of ways to use this platform to build other business ventures if you're into that kind of things. So that's one of the ways I see people do it, to share their, especially in the building public communities. People promote their new apps or whatever they have built that way. If you want to be in the beta testers, please put down a comment, whatever, and then they get a DM for testing. So just a gimmick to get your post seen and your stuff out there.
Awesome. Thanks, Timo. Yeah. And Rich, I'm going to go to you. I just want to remind everybody we're closing the space up here in just over 5 minutes. So I know we have a couple new speakers, but I'll give you a chance to speak and say hi and everything. But we are going to be closing up, and we have a little bit of business to attend to before we close the space. Rich, please go ahead.
Wow, time has flown by. I didn't realize there was only 5 minutes left. No, I was just going to ask really quickly, but maybe there's not time. Just what do you think, Timo, about including the URL like in an image that you share with the post? Do you think the algorithm sees that URL?
Oh my God, I wanted to jump in and say how dumb of an idea that is. Like, first of all, people like putting a link and a reply is also like, I gonna say that is dumb behavior, because if you do know about how links and how people interact with the internet, they don't click things. So adding extra clicks to do things and extra steps to do things is like, we're talking about exponential growth. That's exponential dips that you're adding to your content. So that's why I'm kind of like a proponent of just put the link there so people can freaking do something. And you can pin the post in your profile. You can send people your pin post or something, or put it in your profile or whatever. So yeah, sorry, rant, but yeah, Timo, you can answer too.
Yeah, well, if it's in this life of people having like 6 seconds attention span, now having them remember an URL from an image, it's gonna be a hassle. They're never gonna. Maybe if you have a catchy URL or domain that is easy to remember, and you just dump it on all of your videos and images. If you post 2 images or whatever, then have the image and then the other one for the URL or whatever. I've been testing just putting my newest newsletter on my video ending. The problem here is that people don't watch videos that are longer than 8 seconds. So my yearly over probably now around more than almost close to 500 videos, their average watch time is 9 seconds. So there's some data for videos. So if these people can do anything for videos in here, that would be nice. And also not only for the US and only for the iOS shit, and just like give it to us all, please. Yeah, but the funny, yeah, it's ice. Yeah, snow is melting away. But one thing, the most desperate thing I have seen, you can actually put it in the descriptions too, but I don't think it works as a link, and you don't see it. I think you don't see it only on the browser version. And the most desperate thing is to have that link on the alt text. That is the ultimate, like, well, you get more engagement if you have people clicking on the alt thing. But yeah, I wouldn't go there. Yeah, I think Kate is right.
That's not what text is made for. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, there's a lot of things going on here with this stuff as far as like marketing and all that. But I think the best solution is just put the content out there, put the information out there, and the right people will find it eventually, and just keep pushing it and it'll get there. I do want to say hi to the Raw Truth who joined us up on stage. We're closing up the space here in a few seconds, so I'm sorry we can't get into a big conversation with you, but I wanted to welcome you and give you a chance to say hi and add whatever you wanted to say.
Oh yeah, hi everybody. I've seen Mars in other spaces, but she's really good. I just want to comment really quick since we're talking about videos. So I actually did like an MP3, and with Twitter you need to do MP4. So like you have to do like MP3 to MP4 converter, because like the file just has to read .mp4. But the other question too is like since we're talking about video, I'm actually editing a video talking about like healthcare and like how's the business, and because that's kind of my background, even though I talk about politics. But the video is 1 hour and 26 minutes long. Do you think that's good for Twitter? I mean, I don't know if the attention span is there.
I don't think it is, but you should probably just do it anyway and put it up on YouTube for people to fully watch it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a good strategy, doing clips on X, or even, posting it on X too. It's you never know. And then also, having it on YouTube is a fantastic strategy for long form. Absolutely. Mars, I saw your hand too.
Yeah, I would break it up into highlights and then even go ahead and post the full thing too. But that way you're not missing out on getting the information out to people. I mean, and honestly, that's wonderful content for like, that could go on for a month if you wanted, and then finally release the whole thing. But that way, and short clips, I would say maybe 5 minutes, maybe. So it might be more like
That's
3.
Stretching it like 30 seconds.
Right. So but I do know this is I've been spending more time with the little video play, and I just click play and I go through video, and I find I'm watching longer and longer videos. So it probably is coming. So yeah. Anyways, I would just play around with that, and you can kind of see, but that would give you a lot of content to share, and breaking it up like that into sections if you have time, and then go ahead and post the whole thing. But I do love the idea of posting on YouTube too, right? So get the word out.
Yes, and I'm going to interrupt because this ties in perfectly to one of our affiliated partners with the community is Opus Clip, and I have it pinned up above. Now, I only talk about this because I use it, and it's very cool for long form content. You put the video into Opus Clip, and the AI, it cuts it up and finds little snippets, short videos that are like a minute, and the AI figures out like what you're talking about and finds the little clips. And then also, so like if it's a live stream with 2 people, it'll flip the people. So there's a person on the bottom and the top, like it'll cut it up a little bit, and it will add captions for you all in like very quickly. Now it does have a free thing. You can try it. So with like an hour video, you can try it for free, right? I think if it's your first time using it. And then if you really like it, if you do a lot of long form content like that, like I do a ton of it, you can put your videos in there and it'll make little clips for you. Takes 20 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever to go through it. But what you're left with is like 30 short videos. Not everything's a gem, but you're going to get like some real things that you can use there. Then you can make tweaks if you want to. You can download them, post them anywhere, on X, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, wherever you are. So I'm going to just say that's a fantastic solution for anyone who's dealing with this, like recording long form podcasts or long form interviews or live streams or whatever. Worth giving it a shot. See if you like it. I really have liked what it does with my long form content compared to some of the others out there. So with that, I'm going to be wrapping up the space here, but we do have to discuss the poll. You have a few seconds. If you scroll back on the Projectotron, to the first post, we have Christopher's poll. Okay, it's over. You can't vote. All right, let's see. What are the results?
The question was, what toy would be the creepiest version of the robot apocalypse? And the winner is Tickle Me Elmo's with 54.5% of the vote.
Yeah, I really feel like that's the definitive answer. Like no question.
Incorrect. Furbies was the correct answer.
Furbies are so...
Imagine a horde of
them. They're
like thousands and thousands of them.
They're like tribbles.
But they'll kill you. They will kill you, Rich.
Okay.
Oh, no.
They'll annoy you to death. Oh, my God. Okay. I still have my Furby. I'm card-carrying elder millennial with my Furby on the shelf. I'm ready to go at any moment. Okay. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining. If you're not in the Collaboration Station community, we host these spaces twice a week. So I recommend requesting to join the community. And then you'll get the notifications when we host these. We do them every week on Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a couple hours. And that's the one you're listening to today. And then we also do Sunday evenings here on the East Coast at 6 p.m. So I know that's late for a lot of people around the world. But, I like to have a Sunday evening space. It's just a nice, fun place. And we get into some more maybe advanced creator issues, a little controversial ex-creator issues. So that's always a hot topic and brings in some pretty amazing people who have some strong opinions, which is a lot of fun. So that's a little bit different vibe than this one, but I hope to see you all there. And yeah, please check out the links that I've shared in the purple pill or up above so you can participate in the community more. And I hope to see you around. Thank you to my wonderful co-hosts, Christopher Friant and Rich Silver, who you should be following. There was amazing people here in the space today that you should also be following. So please consider doing that. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.